You know, do what you got to do to protect your peace, and don't feel no kind of way either. You know what I'm saying about doing that. Don't let anybody make you feel like you're overreacting, like you're doing too much. No, your peace is your top priority, period. Whatever makes you or keeps you sane. Don't worry about what nobody else got to say. Do what you got to do to stay sane, okay? Peace, soul family, and welcome to my channel. My name is Zuri, the Poetic. For those of you who are new, and if you are returning, then welcome back. Today's topic is going to be about how to overcome anxiety and depression. And this topic was sparked because I myself have had to overcome anxiety and depression, but I also know that this is just a major topic, or just a major thing that a lot of us these days are experiencing, especially with the rise of social media and everybody comparing themselves to other people, all this hustle mentality, just all these things going on in society right now. A lot of us are a lot more easily triggered and easily, really offended. And also, a lot of us aren't nice, so it makes it hard for people to exist around other people, especially these days when everyone's hiding behind a social media persona, social media personality. Like, I'm this person because I portray this, even though they might not necessarily be who they say they are. So it just makes it hard to navigate in a world like this. But that's not only where anxiety and depression comes from. So this video is going to talk about anxiety and depression and how we can overcome this. But first, I just want to plug myself really fast. If you have not watched my documentary yet, please watch my documentary in my linked channels. I have my other channel, Zuri Music. That is where you can find my documentary. It's also going to be in the description box. I also have a poetry book that I released and an EP that released with my documentary as a trilogy. Pretty much an expression of myself and who I am and why I am the way that I am. I do feel like my most powerful tool is telling my story, and that is how I utilize that trilogy. So the documentary is a visual and audio representation of my story. My EP is audio, and then my poetry book is verbal. So I just express myself in different ways, and that is ultimately what I want to continue to do, is like just express myself and have people feel that, and resonate with that. And it's not really for the money, it's really just for healing. And that is what I feel is the ultimate goal. That's the whole purpose of this channel, these podcasts, is to help you heal and live a more holistic life. So without further ado, I want to get into anxiety and depression. So first, I want to talk about where it comes from. Like I said before, social media is a huge trigger these days, but a lot of our anxiety comes from experiences we had as children. And if you watch my other videos, I talk about being a child a lot, because a lot of the things that we go through and experience start when we're children. And as we're adults, we're just, basically adjusting to what we felt like we had to mold ourselves into as children to be, considered cool or popular or likable or lovable or desirable, or whatever we did to not be those things. Because in my case, I was so anxious and so depressed that I didn't want to be any of those things. I wanted to be invisible. I didn't want to be seen. So anxiety and depression can cause you to do many different things. Some of us, it makes us hyperactive. Some of us, it makes us underactive. Some of us makes us not active at all. So I just want to talk about the scope, because the scope is so large when it comes to anxiety and depression. And I won't say a lot of us, but for me, in my experience with anxiety and depression, I was bullied as a child, and also like at home, I just never felt comfortable because my weight was always a topic, and it was always like too much weight, but nobody ever like changed my diet or anything. So I always dealt with the fact that like whenever I was seen by somebody, like I was being judged for my weight, I was being called ugly, like I internalized a lot of things that I went through as a child. And by me internalizing these things, it created anxiety, it created depression, it created overthinking. So like now when I interact with people, and I've healed this, I've healed some of this, not all of it, because healing is an ongoing thing. But when it comes to engaging with other people, I often think of like the worst case scenario. And we're going to talk about that later. It's actually called catastrophic thinking. So anxiety can come from bullying from other peers. It can come from your parental influences. It can come from your environment. It can come from abusive parents, abusive relationships, not being able to feel safe when you should feel safe. So for example, a lot of us, when we come out, we have bonds to our mothers because our mothers carried us. So not only do we have that physical bond, we have a spiritual bond. Growing in the womb, and cultivating who we are with the assistance of our mother, we were getting direct nurturing from direct, care. And when we come out of the womb, we still expect these things. That's why we grapple for the nipple and things. Like we aren't just out here. We have a spiritual bond with our mothers as well. And when we are taken from our families as children, when we are abused by our mother or father or any caretaker, anybody who we feel takes care of us, if we feel like that care is compromised in some sort of way, if we behave a certain way and that care gets compromised, like, it'll lead us to not behave that way, which is why people like to spank people, because if you do this and I spank you, maybe you won't do it again, which is stupid, but whatever. It's another topic for another day. But that is where anxiety and depression tends to come from, is feeling like we can't be ourselves, feeling like we don't have the capacity to be ourselves. A lot of people will say there's a chemical imbalance that happens in your brain, and I haven't done a lot of research on depression and anxiety in relation to chemical imbalances. I'm not saying that's false, and it might be honestly true because of some of the ways that I help myself overcome these bouts of anxiety and depression. And when I was growing up, I diagnosed myself as chronically depressed. I told my mom I was depressed, and she told me like I couldn't go see a doctor or something, or not to go see a doctor, because if they diagnosed me as depressed, and that's on my record forever, and people won't look at that and not want to hire me, and just all these reasons why I should ignore my mental health, because that makes sense, and not take care of it. So for a long time, I considered myself chronically depressed. I was very socially anxious. I would avoid large crowds. Like when I was in college, if it was dinner time, like I would either try to go super early when no one was there, or I wouldn't go at all because I didn't want to be around that many people. Like there are times when my friend and I have pulled up to dinner late because we were doing other things, and like I would have to like sit in the car while she went in without me because I told her like I'm not going in there. Like I had so much anxiety that I just didn't want to be around like that many people. I always felt like people were judging me, talking about me, laughing at me. I was always super self-conscious all the time for no reason, like all the time, just in my head, overthinking. Like I said, catastrophic thinking, where I immediately think worst case scenario. Like everything that happens, like I never think like, oh, this could be good. No, like it's always like, oh no, they have to get me. Like this is about to be bad. I shouldn't do this. Like I can't trust these people. Trust issues is a really big symptom of anxiety and depression. Like the symptoms of anxiety and depression manifest in so many different ways, and that's why I'm making this video, because I want you to know that like even if you don't experience the traditional things like of depression or whatever, like staying in bed all day, you can still be depressed, and you can still definitely get help for those things. So this video is just to talk about anxiety and depression and how to cope with it. Another symptom of anxiety is anxiety attacks, and I've had anxiety attacks before, but I haven't had them as frequently as some people. For me, what I began to register anxiety attacks is when I go silent. When I go silent and I just start thinking of every worst possible thing, and I'm irritable and I don't want to talk to anybody, for me, that's an anxiety attack. Anxiety attacks can last like over a day, honestly, I don't even know if I've had one for over a day. I know that I've had periods of time though where I just sit in my head. It can last hours. I know it does. And I'm just in my head, just thinking about shit that hasn't even happened, or shit that probably won't happen. Like, I overthink everything sometimes. And for me, this is a symptom of anxiety. I get so nervous. I get scared. I have anxiety around money. I have anxiety around people. Like, I just have a lot of anxiety. Like, and yes, I work on this. I've grown a lot when it comes to my anxiety and how to handle, and just becoming aware, of when I'm experiencing anxiety, when I'm experiencing anxiety attacks, when I'm having a panic attack. Panic attack and anxiety attacks looks different. A panic attack often happens in like a short period of time, and it peaks really fast, and then it like goes away really fast. So I've had one of those too, where I was like, I love going to the woods to clear my mind. And I was walking through the woods one time because I had a lot on my mind, and as I'm walking through the woods, I start getting these thoughts, and the thoughts start coming really fast, and they're like not thoughts that I want to think, and they were coming so fast that I start crying. Like I was like freaking out, and then I calmed myself down, and I was able to, find somewhere to sit down and actually think through my thoughts. But that was a panic attack for me, because immediately I start crying. I didn't know what was going on. Like Anxiety can manifest as different ways, and I feel like the longer you have an anxiety attack is probably the catastrophic thinking, like probably just the worst case scenario thinking, that it's like a spiral you go down, and it's like you can't get out of it, and it's hard to convince yourself that you don't have to think these thoughts, and it's hard to convince yourself that it's not the truth, that you don't have facts or evidence of this, because you're overthinking and you're feeling it so intensely. Another symptom of anxiety and depression is just like not being excited about anything. Just the things that used to make you happy don't really make you happy anymore. You don't enjoy doing the things you used to do because you just rather be in bed or try not to think, or things like that. You might have skepticism of other people, which is what I mentioned, trust issues earlier. Like sometimes when you have anxiety, you're just always concerned about what somebody else is thinking. You're always fearing that they're talking about you or thinking about you. And I don't mean to like be rude or anything, but I had to learn this too, and it's that people really don't give a fuck about you. Like, and it's not that people don't care about you. I'm not saying that people who love you don't love you. What I'm saying is, in any general context, and you walk outside and there's like people outside that you never met before, they might look at you, they might glance at you, they might even say something about you to somebody else, but like after you're out of their vision, like they probably not even think about you anymore. Like it's not like people just sit around and sit up and talk about you, unless they do, and that, what I'm saying. But in most situations, so for me, walking in the cafeteria during dinner in college, and how scared I was to do that. The fear was kind of irrational because there's so many people in the cafeteria. Like, yeah, I walk by somebody might say something, somebody might, whisper or giggle or, whatever. But like after I sit down, I'm sure that 3 minutes later they're on to either somebody else or another topic. Like nobody really cares that much to actively try to put you down unless they are a bully. In that case, you're going to know who's a bully, and in that case, you're going to know, to try your best to avoid that person, or take bigger steps if you have to. Get a restraining, do what you got to do to protect your peace, and don't feel no kind of way either, what I'm saying, about doing that. Don't let anybody make you feel like you're overreacting, like you're doing too much. No, your peace is your top priority, period. Whatever makes you or keeps you sane. Don't worry about what nobody else gotta say. Do what you gotta do to stay sane, okay? Nobody else has to live your life but you. Nobody else is gonna be in your shoes but you. So that means you should make yourself a priority, okay? Another symptom is just general feelings of being misunderstood. Even when you're engaging with someone who seems to be wanting to engage with you and is nice enough and open enough, like you still have these thoughts that like, I can't say everything because this person's not going to understand me, or I can say this but they don't relate. Nobody's going to relate to me. Nobody can ever feel the way I feel. Nobody can ever understand the pain that I'm going through. But like, I want you to know that, yeah, we can. Because we're all human and we all go through the same things. And that's why people love music so much, because music will sing about these things. People love saying like, oh, I can relate to music. Music's the only thing that understands me, blah, blah, blah. But understand, a person wrote that song. Like, understand there are other people out here who experience exactly what you experience, and you're not alone. It's I know it's very cliche to say you're not alone, because sometimes you might very well feel alone, but know that you're not. And when you really want better for yourself and become aware of the fact that you're anxious and depressed, then try to seek help. Try to be more open and like try to be understanding. Like, you have to take steps forward if you want to get out of it. A lot of times people who experience anxiety and depression, they just feel like nobody can ever understand, but I want you to know that people understand. And if you reach out to someone or just try to create or try to put yourself out there, like YouTube or whatever, you don't even put yourself out there. I believe that you can heal through creating. So like when you're depressed, and I'm going to go, this just segues right into my next topic, which is how to overcome depression. So in anxiety. So one of the major ways is creativity. So even if you don't want to put yourself out there, like in what ways do you create? Do you paint? Do you draw? Do you color? Do you sing? Do you write poetry? Do you whatever? What do you do? You know what I'm saying? And then do it. And talk about your pain. Like, don't be scared of your pain. I think a lot of the reason why people often sit in pain is because they're scared to even address that they feel pain. It's like a taboo thing to feel pain, which it shouldn't be, because we all feel pain. We all feel sad. We all feel happy. We all feel joy. We all feel anger. Like we all feel these things. We're human. There's a huge range of emotion, and we fall on the whole entire spectrum. Like, there's no emotion out here that not one single person doesn't feel. We all feel these things sometimes. Even if we can't put a name to what we're feeling, grief and all that, like, just create. Use whatever method you can and transmute all that pain into something. That's why you love those songs where people are really putting their heart out there and just pouring their heart out. You can relate so much because they are putting their heart on the line for you to hear. You know what I'm saying? But for them, that was a way for them to take their pain and put it out and take it out. You know what I'm saying? Make something beautiful out of it. Make something just long lasting out of it, you know? Instead of having it be this negative thing that happened to you that you can't escape or get away from, because you always have the ability to transmute all of your pain into healing or into growth, into something beautiful. I know it's kind of like late in the video to worry about my hair and shit. But that one was just like bothering me. But yeah, so creativity is one of the main ways that you can heal from anxiety and depression. Another way that I find particularly helpful, it's kind of two in one, which is be in nature and get some sunlight. So even if I can't like be in nature, I have a patio, I'll go out and sit on the patio and just absorb all the sun that I can, or I'll take a walk, you know what I'm saying? But being in nature is really comforting for me as well. I am a nature spirit, so that's just what my spirit feels comfortable in. Like when I go into the trees and the forest, like I feel like magical. Like I don't know, I feel like I'm at home. I feel comfort, I feel peace. So whenever you feel anxious or depressed, you should go somewhere where you feel safe. I feel safe in the woods. So go somewhere where you feel safe, whether that's another person's arms, whether that's your home, whether that's a pool, whether that's a park bench and watching people, you know, whether that's feeding the ducks. I like to feed the ducks. Whether that's whatever it is, you know, for you, but especially the sunlight, because sun gives you vitamin D, and instantly sun actually can make you feel a lot better. It gives you a boost. Even if it's not going to cure your anxiety and depression in one day, you'll definitely have a boost from the sun, and it's imperative to use that boost, you know, for the good that it's giving you, and don't just, you know, get the boost and then go back and lay in bed, you know, because you're sad. Like actively try to heal yourself. And I got a thought about the chemical imbalances I mentioned earlier. If you have chemical imbalances, of course do your research. I'm not a dietitian or anything of the sort, but I've heard and read so many stories about people who switch their diet to whole foods, and when they switch to whole foods, their body starts to feel better. So if you haven't tried that, maybe try that, you know, because I mean, I know for a fact that eating this fast food shit and all this processed shit, that's not good for us. You know, that's not something that's compatible with our bodies. So just switching to a whole foods diet may help. I know that fast food and shit is not going to help you. As a matter of fact, all that shit makes you feel sluggish and makes you feel tired, and honestly could worsen your depression or anxiety. I know that it's not sending the proper chemicals to your brain. You're not getting the healthy stuff. You know, you're getting the instant gratification type shit, you know? It might make you feel good to taste it, but the overall effects it has on your body won't be good. And that's not to say like just like switch your whole entire diet. That's something that's hard for you, but like do something that makes you happy, that boosts your serotonin levels, that boosts your happy hormones, you know, your dopamine. So like something that I like to do is go get ice cream. Like I'll go get ice cream by myself, and I'll just sit outside the ice cream shop and eat me a little bowl of ice cream, because ice cream makes me happy. Like ice cream really just puts a little smile on my face. Like I don't know, it tastes good, it's sweet, it's cold, like especially on a hot day, like it's comforting. So do something that comforts you, somewhere where you feel comfortable. Like just go there. Another way to help your anxiety, especially in the moment, so say you're experiencing an anxiety attack, another way to help combat that is to do breathing exercises. So the main purpose of all of this, number one, is to be aware of the fact that you're having anxiety and depression. When you're aware of that fact, then you can do things to, you know, help it. So when you're aware of the fact you're having an anxiety attack, if you take time to stop, try your best to stop thinking, take your focus to your breath. You can do whatever breathing exercise you want to if you know some. What I like to do is I'll breathe in for 4 breaths, hold for 5 breaths, and out for 6 breaths. And then I'll go in for 5 breaths, hold for 6, out for 7. And by doing that, not only am I breathing, but I'm also forcing my brain to actively think about something else, because I'm doing like stepped breathing, as opposed to just like in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. You know, that's like there's all 4. I have to purposely, you know, intentionally think about the numbers and how long I am taking in each breath, holding each breath, and releasing each breath. And that for me really helps calm me down, because not only am I getting the deep breath, and the deep breathing, but I'm also getting the mind break, from whatever I was thinking about. Now my focus is on the numbers and how long I'm holding these breaths and releasing these breaths and things like that. So that's a really good exercise that I do. And I honestly highly recommend that to anybody whenever you're experiencing anxiety attack. Do that breathing exercise. It'll take you to a whole other place and you'll be calm and all that once you finish. After that, maybe you'll journal or something. Like I said, do something that is comforting, something that supports you, something that makes you feel good so that you can, ease up on the anxiety. And then whatever you were anxious about, you can think of it from a more clear place and understand why you're anxious about whatever it is you're thinking about, and honestly talk yourself out of whatever it is that you're thinking, because sometimes we'll have anxiety over things that haven't even happened or aren't going to happen, but we're so anxious about it, and we're so scared and we don't even know. So it's kind of like fear without cause, and that's an illusion. We shouldn't do that. So breathing exercises are really beneficial. Something else that is major that I recommend for everybody, even if you don't have anxieties and depression, is taking social media breaks, okay? Social media, like I said earlier, social media is like a fast growing like tool, platform, whatever you want to call it. And a lot of people post what they want people to see and not necessarily how their life actually is. And so by consuming so much social media, it's easy to fall into this trap of like, I'm not doing enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not talented enough, I'm not taking all those trips, I don't have that much money, I don't have this. Like, it can easily make you start comparing yourself to other people in your own journey and your path. And believe it or not, social media causes anxiety. It definitely causes anxiety and depression. Not only is it by staring at that screen, what I'm saying, all the fucking time, and spending hours just scrolling, but you're also just taking in so much content that has nothing to do with you. It can create so much anxiety because now you're thinking about things that have nothing to do with you, have everything to do with somebody else, what I'm saying? And you're worried, and then you're comparing yourself, and then it's, it's just this whole like, I don't know, like social media can be a good tool when it comes to marketing and connecting with other people and engaging and shit like that. But when it comes to like your mental health and your sanity, like a social media break is so important, just to tune back into you, just to get back into you and feel you out, feel how you feel, what I'm saying? And just all that, because social media can really just drain you. Like, I know it does. Y'all know it does, like it's really draining. So like spending time away from social media honestly can really help anxiety and depression, especially when you spend the time focused on you and creating like you, and investing in you. It really can change the whole flow of how anxious you feel or how depressed you feel. Another way to help overcome anxiety and depression is something I talked about in my last video, which is shadow work. When you do shadow work, you can understand the root cause of why you feel fearful, why you feel anxious, why you feel depressed, and just the root of where all these things come from. And if once you understand the root, then you can actively heal the root, and so you won't have that much anxiety or depression anymore about the same topics. And if you want to like test this out, you can do some shadow work and then come back to those same journal posts and read them, and see if those same things still trigger you or still make you upset the way that they did. And 9 times out of 10, when you do shadow work, honestly, you probably will be presented with the same test again, but your reaction to it is where the growth lies. So it's like, how does this affect me now? Is it still making me react all crazy, or can I, take this in and understand that I'm still safe, but, this is something that's happening to me, and, I have these methods and these ways where I can go about, fixing it and being okay, as opposed to like catastrophic thinking and thinking of like every worst case scenario possible that could happen. Another way is therapy, which is pretty much just self-explanatory. Go talk to somebody. Go see somebody. I know we can't all afford therapy, but if you can and you're in that boat, definitely go talk to somebody. Go see a therapist. Let them help you. Let them help you. You can also do physical movement. So physical movement actively takes you out of whatever moment you're experiencing and puts you in the moment, because you have to be focused on what your body is doing and the energy you're exerting. And then at the end of it, number one, you're tired, so you don't have a lot of energy to even think about all the other stuff. But also, working out releases serotonin, which is a happy hormone, which makes you feel good. It makes your body feel relaxed and makes you feel calm. So the more calm you feel, the more comfortable you feel, so you're less likely to experience anxiety. The last tip I have to getting over depression and anxiety is to face your fears. And that's why I put that one last, because it is undoubtedly the hardest one. It's so hard to do something that you have been terrified to do. So for example, I guess I'll use like releasing music for me, or even just beginning to perform by myself. That is something that I had stage fright. Like, I was super scared. I wasn't confident, like nothing like that. And when I did my very first open mic, like, honestly, I built myself up to it, because I would go to open mics, but I wouldn't perform. So I told myself I'm gonna just go to a bunch of them, like, feel the vibe out, see what it's like, and then one day, like, I'll get up there. One day I decided to get up there, and it was like, I was supposed to go with my friend, and she bailed at the last minute, so she didn't even show up. It was just me at the time. I was like in between jobs or something, so I didn't have any money. My phone was off, so like I had my phone, but I didn't have any service. So like, even though I had it, I'm in there just looking at like my notes and like writing poetry in my notes and shit, because I don't have any internet service. I didn't have Wi-Fi, so it's like I was pretty much SOL. But when I got up there and performed, like, I felt so electrified. I had never felt so alive. And then from that moment, I met people, I collabed with people, like, I ended up meeting my boyfriend out of that. Like, there was just so much more that happened. I gained so much more confidence, because people I met, they were forcing me to like perform in front of them, which is something that I was like very nervous to do. So I was doing that, and then I started, performing in front of other people. Like, and now, like, when I perform or speak in front of others, like, I definitely still get nervous if it's like something new that I've never done before. But when it comes to like singing and dancing and shit, like, yeah, like I said, I get nervous, but it's not like it was before, because I'm just more confident now. Like, I know who I am now, and I started to face that fear. Like, I realized I don't have to be scared of like getting up here and performing, because I'm just giving them me, and I can't give them anything else. So like, why be scared of that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even if it's not what people will perceive as perfect or like the best or whatever, like, who said who was the best? Like, just do you. You're the best at doing you, so do you. You know what I'm saying? So those are my tips for overcoming anxiety and depression. This topic has a lot of depth to it. This short video doesn't even begin to encompass what you can feel or experience when you have anxiety and depression, how you can overcome anxiety and depression, what it looks like. There's so many more things, right? But I just want to give you a short insight into what I know and how I overcame mine, so that you see that line? So that y'all can like overcome yours, if you're experiencing or if you're resonating with this video, then that's what this is for. Hopefully you can, relate to what I'm saying and apply some of these things to your life, and, help yourself heal. That's my ultimate goal here, is just to help us live, more healthy and holistic lifestyles, because the more we can heal ourselves, the more we heal other people around us. And that's ultimately what we need to do, because this world needs it, we need it. So if you're experiencing anxiety and depression, know you're not alone. And if you ever have suicidal thoughts or ever considered just ending your life, please reach out to the suicide hotline. Even if you don't want to be on the phone, they have chat bots. So if you're, experiencing some anxiety, you have anxiety to be on the phone, they have chat bots. You can put a different name. You don't have to put your own name, You can end the chat whenever you want to end it. I'm sure you can end the call whenever you want to end the call. I've only ever done the chat, so I know for the chat, you can end it whenever you want to end it. Those people are literally paid to help you. Like, they're there to talk to you. You don't, like I said, you don't have to disclose anything. You can be a whole anon person, and just spill your guts, tell them every single thing you're feeling. And that's their job. They're there to help you. So if you're not comfortable with them, reach out to me. My Instagram is Zuri Music or The Poetic Mystic. Y'all can hit me up. Like, I've had people tell me multiple times that, what I've said has helped them so much and helped them heal and change and grow. And that's all I want to do, I'm actually going to begin services for coaching. I used to do tarot readings, and I still do tarot readings, but I haven't done them in a while. But, I still do them, but I do eventually want to open up coaching services. So definitely DM me, hit me up if you're ever feeling anything that, you're just having a hard time feeling, or you're having a hard time dealing with, or a hard time coping through, because trust me, I've been there, and I'm here to help you out. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching my video. I sincerely hoped this resonated. Please check out my other channel, Zuri Music. I love you. Until next time, peace.
Big wheels keep rolling, rolling. I'm outside. 29, G5, seaside. I've been losing friends and finding peace. But honestly, that sound like a fair trade to me. If I ever heard one, and I'm still here outside.